good evening, and welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Hope you are all having a happy Saturday, enjoying the time off of work and enjoying this beautiful fall weather that we're having here in Pennsylvania anyway. I do hope this finds you all in good health. So please, guys, if you haven't done it already, hit that share button there and like and follow. We appreciate that. Head over to YouTube. You're going to WLFE-DBE radio and subscribe there and follow as well. And also Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey on YouTube, and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video when we do go live. So we definitely appreciate you doing that. If you'd like to become a supporter of the show, please head over to patreon.com/Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey and become a supporter of the show. We sincerely do appreciate every little bit of help we get from that, and I sincerely thank you for doing that. You get special little gifts. You get a hat like this that'll say patron on the side, and it'll say Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. We're still working on that, having a little issue with the supplier, so bear with me, guys. We'll get those out to you as soon as possible. And as you stick with us, what we'll do is we'll send you a t-shirt, or the longer you're with us, we'll send you a hoodie or something to that effect, and you'll be also have access to behind-the-scenes footage of me getting ready to do what we do here. So, guys, today we are joined by a USA Today best-selling author, Sherry Fernandez. I am super excited. She is the author of Life Mastery: Personal Progression Towards an Infinite Potential. For nearly 3 decades, Sherry Fernandez has been a speaker, a teacher, and a mentor, and is now the author of Life Mastery: Personal Progression Toward an Infinite Potential. Sherry and her husband, Ken Fernandez, are rags to riches story. Against all odds, they found success not only financially, but in the each of 8 areas of life mastery: physical, spiritual, relationships, education, motivation, money, lifestyle, and character. The Life Mastery program is a result of their careful study of principles of success and a lifetime of practicing those principles. What makes Sherry unique in all her ability to teach personal development is years of study and practice that she invested in the principles she now teaches. So she's got a lot of experience and she knows what she's talking about. That's a good thing. All right. So for Sherry, it all began in 2009 in the midst of the recession when she opened a boutique fitness, Fitmania, and personal development business. Fit Life grew rapidly and transformed lives. Out of that emerged Sherry's Life Mastery training, the Life Mastery Mentoring Program, and Sherry's powerful new book, Life Mastery: Personal Progression Towards an Infinite Potential, which we will learn more about today. They all focus on achieving life mastery in those 8 key areas. I am a student. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. However, Sherry often observed that people in personal transformation programs leave excited and vowing change, only to slip back into old habits without a practical, accountable way to implement that change. A solution to that is what Life Mastery brings to the discourse. Sherry maintains that the formula for life mastery is contentment plus progress equals happiness. I love that. Striving continually toward your infinite potential. And she has the method to keep you in a sustained process of achieving, becoming, and celebrating. Guys, without further ado, please allow me to introduce you, Sherry Fernandez. So much. Thank you for being here. I really do sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dustin, for having me too. Been looking forward to this interview.
Oh, great. That's me too. And, honestly, you and I kind of come from a little bit of the same background. I mean, I'm one of 10 children. We had, my mother was a great mother. She did everything that she could to take care of a lot of children. But there was, a few different fathers involved, and there was some alcoholism and things like that. It was a complicated situation for us. And at the age of 16, I decided that, hey, look, it's time for me to get out of here. And I went out on my own. So, I mean, it's similar to your story. Yeah. You left when you were 17.
Right. Yeah, I graduated from high school early, and then just my parents' marriage fell apart again, and there was no support. So, and I was I was ready to go spread my wings. I was not mature enough, but I wanted to get out there in the world, and then it went downhill from there. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit, about what brought you to this point. So, I mean, you've had a tumultuous upbringing. You've been kind of through the ringer. What really was the impetus for you writing this book?
For writing the book, well, maybe I should go back a little bit. So sure. I, as that child that you mentioned in a little precarious situation, I was kind of a wanderer, and I was the oldest of 4 little girls, and my mom left my dad. So it's kind of, she did the best she could. I mean, she kept us, which was not everybody would even do that, but she wasn't really well equipped. And so I was left to my own lot, and I spent a lot of time thinking. And maybe I would have been a thinker anyway. I don't know, but I was on my own lot, and I just thought a lot. And I thought, I think there's great things for me out there in the world. And I didn't know what they'd look like, but I was just sure I was somebody special, that for some reason the universe loved me more than, I don't know, I didn't even know what that meant. But when I found myself after those turbulent teenage years and young adult years wanting to settle down, I wanted to find the principle. I had nothing, my husband and I got married, and we both wanted success, well-rounded. We wanted a beautiful marriage and money and health. And I wanted to have my children and still have a sexy body. And I wanted just everything that was good in life. And so I went to work trying to find those out. And the reason I'm giving the background is because I didn't just read a book and say, oh, now I'm going to teach these things.
I'm an expert.
I did these things, I practiced them. And once I found good success, I proved they work. I started teaching them a little at a time, and then more and more. And so speaking, I would speak often. I was asked to speak. People would recognize that I had something to offer, and I was asked to speak frequently. And people would say, you should write a book. And I couldn't even think of something that I wanted to do less than that. I said, I'm a speaker, I'm not a writer. If I can't just say off the cuff, so to speak, I don't know if I want to do that. But then, think the universe has a plan. And in 2020, someone said to me again, and it was a couple that I respected, and I did a workshop, and they said, yeah, you should write a book. And then my husband said, no, really, you should. And I was working with a friend, coach, kind of somebody who's been a champion for me. And he said the same thing, Sherry, you should write a book. You're the real deal. And so I wrote the book, and I guess the rest is history. But it's things that I practiced. It wasn't things I just read about and then wrote about.
Sure. Them. I mean, look, from a very young age, I have felt the exact same things. I felt that there was just something that's drawing me towards greatness. I mean, it's hard to explain what that is. I mean, maybe it's just childish dreams. I don't know. But I had always felt that I was meant for something that's bigger than where I was or what I was doing at that time. But the difference between you and I is you've realized some of those dreams, and I'm still where I was when I started dreaming those things. And it's not for a lack of trying.
You are, Dustin. So I'm 66 now. So I've had a chance to do it. You've got plenty of time left to realize those dreams.
Yeah. And look, and I do strive, and I will always continue to do that. I mean, I'm always looking for a way to improve, and what I feel like my calling really truly is, and what I want to be able to do is to improve people's lives, do something to make their lives better. Whatever that looks like. I mean, if that is doing a show like this and connecting people with you and allowing them to consume your content and become better because of it, then I've done something. I've done something good for somebody, especially if it's changed their lives. So that's really where I am, as far as.
I love some of those things you said. You said, I like what you said about you felt like you were called to greatness. And you said maybe it's a childish thoughts. I don't think so. I think I believe totally within us is a greater destiny than any of us can imagine. And if we can open our minds to it at all, I think that we can all be called to greatness if we'll just open that door. Mm-hmm. And that you said, I'm still working on myself. Well, I'm still working on myself too. When I say I've success in all those areas, doesn't mean I'm done.
Sure.
I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to get more of those same things because they're all limitless, right? We're not going to see the fullness of our potential in this life, at least. So, yeah, there's always work to be done. Otherwise, we'd be bored.
Yeah, I feel that. And sometimes I feel bored, and I feel like, is it the area that I'm in, or is it the people that I've chosen to surround myself with or not surround myself with? I feel like people, like an average guy just like me, I mean, we become very complacent, and it's easy to get stuck in a rut, and try to breaking out of that it's really complicated. It's difficult to do because you get stuck in that whole, I got to pay my bills. I've got to take care of my kids. I've got, at what point do you say enough is enough and take that risk? I mean, where's that breaking point in people?
Yeah. That is such a good question. So where so many people are at and I talk about the concept of personal progression as the key to happiness. But if you take the reverse side and you say, what makes people miserable? It's being stuck. It's not moving forward, not feeling like anything's changing. I'm not getting any better. I can't seem to go anywhere. I'm stuck, and that's miserable. And that can be also lead to depression, anxiety, all kinds of problems. And the real problem isn't there's anything wrong with you, is that you're just not moving forward. And you said it's complicated to get out of it, but I don't think so. I think it's just complicated to know where to start. But if somebody, that's what I offer in the book. Here's a place to start. Just start. People ask me a lot on these interviews, what would you suggest people do? I say, just start. Start with one little habit you want. If it's just brushing your teeth every day, or, putting $10 in the bank a week, just start with something. But it's amazing. You think that the habits will build on one another, but actually what they do is they compound. Darren Hardy called it the compound effect. Somebody else called it aggregate something in marginal gains, but it actually, they explode as they move forward. It's like that penny thing, like at the end of a month, if you double a penny, it's $3 million or some kind of thing like that. It's like that, it's just starting is amazing how far you can go. Just get started.
Right. And so this is where I feel like it would be beneficial because, let's be honest, Sherry, I think there are people in this world who could really achieve incredible things, being short of knowing where to start. A good mentor, a good coach, somebody that's actually willing to say, hey, look, I've done this. I've been there. There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. All you got to do is follow a proven system, and a lot of times that system really kind of starts with having a good mentor or a coach.
No, it's totally true. And I didn't have one. I had to figure it out myself. And mine was the books because first of all, I had no money. And second of all, it really wasn't a thing. Then now we have an explosion of them. And a lot of them, I don't know what they do for sure. But I think a lot of it is probably a lot of foolishness out there. But if you can find a good mentor or coach, I have people that I work with. And right now I've got a couple of in particular who like this, that they were casting about for something. For years, they've been looking for something to grab hold of to get started. Like they knew they had this greatness, like you and I were talking about. They just didn't know where to go. And then I see the progress they make in 3 or 4 months, and they're on fire. And I think, what would they have done if they had found me? Hopefully they'd have found somebody. But I think how many people are out there that would do the same as these people are doing, could make the kind of progress they're making if they just had somebody to start them. And that's really the reason I wrote Life Mastery. I have all this information and all this stuff that I have to offer, but I can only talk to so many people. I can only work with so many people. But the book is basically everything I have to offer in coaching. And a person could take Life Mastery and find their direction, I think. And if they got stuck somewhere, they could email me and I'd answer their questions.
Right. So where do you suggest people really begin? And I know you mentioned with just, hey, put that $10 away, but let's get a little deeper than that. There, you have to have a why, right? You've got to have a reason. You've got to have a reason for getting your ass up out of bed every single day and getting to the grind, right? So, what's your suggestion for kind of directing somebody to figure out what their actual purpose really is?
I started the book with it's 3 parts. Part 1 is why. Yeah, you have to have a big why so that because the day-to-day stuff was sometimes fun. You see the progress, but a lot of times it's just like, it can be mundane just to get out of bed every day. And why should I get up when the alarm rings? So you have to have a good why. And I usually start my clients before they ever come to meet with me. I tell them to come up with 50 big dreams. And I talk about the big dreams list. These are things you want to see, do, be, climb a mountain, explore a river. Go to the Olympics, whatever it is that you've got on your mind, you want to do, but big ones, big dreams. And it's not because it's the most important thing that they'll do, but because it starts them thinking big. And then when you start thinking big and remembering the big things you want to accomplish, then it's easier to remember, oh yeah, that's why I do this. The other exercise I do with everybody is second, third week that we work together, I have them do a visualization where they usually take 10 years, depends on how old they are, what they're doing in life. We take a time in the future, about 10 years, and we go in great detail. They imagine where they want to be. And it's usually very emotional for people. And sometimes things come up they didn't even realize they wanted. And of course, they've already learned the sky's the limit because we did the big dreams list. So they get just anything they want. What house will they look? What will their relationships look like? What will their money be like? What will their fitness look like? Everything. And then it is kind of a tender emotional thing. But then when they don't want to get out of bed, they remember, I got this big dreams and I've got this vision of my life in 10 years. And that carries you through.
Yeah. See, now that's beautiful. I mean, I look at my life here and I'm trying to apply everything that I talk about kind of to myself. I mean, it's the best way for me to relate. And I think to myself, like, wow, I mean, how can I apply this and how can I make these improvements to myself? And it always seems like the hardest thing to do, breaking down personal barriers, breaking through some of those personal things that, I'm a prideful man. I have issues sometimes.
No way.
Right? I said that on the air. I do. And it's difficult sometimes for me to be like vulnerable and, but really I have these big dreams. And one of my big dreams is to be able to take my family, overseas to Italy and, explore Tuscany and Rome and walk in those ancient streets and, visit the Holy Land and things like that. Those are huge dreams that I have.
Have you written them down, Dustin? Are they written down somewhere?
Unfortunately, no.
Start that big dreams. It's amazing. You just write it down and you'll be amazed at how things just start happening. Not all of them. Some you have to work towards, but then I had one, if I can take a digression a little bit, and it's in the book. I've got my own list in the book, but I had one. I wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands and scuba dive there too. And because this is where there's species you haven't seen other places and whatever, but it's tricky. You have to have permits and it's expensive. And I thought, when am I going to do this? And it wasn't the money so much, but I just wondered the details. I'm not good with planning things. Mm-hmm. Well, my sister calls me about 6 months ago, and she said, I found a cruise ship for 50 people that go into Galapagos Islands. They cover all the permits. They'll do all the tours. You can scuba dive. You want to go? Wow. And I'm like, yeah.
No brainer.
I'm convinced because she saw that. She read my book. She saw that on my big dreams list. And I'm convinced that is the reason that she thought she thought of it.
So do you put your big dreams list out there for anybody to? I
put it in the book. In fact, I put it in the book, and I'm just doing the Audible now. We're just getting the Audible version out, probably a couple of weeks. And I didn't want to read it on the Audible, so it's on it'll be downloadable any day here on the website. So if you give me 2 or 3 days, we'll have that on the website too. But I've had more feedback on that list. I've had people even who know me really well say, I had no idea you did so many things, or I loved your big dreams list. I can't believe you want to go do this thing. I have, I can't remember now, maybe close to 200 items on there. And I don't know, maybe I've done 2/3 of them or something.
Oh,
I've got some big ones left. I've got some big things left, but I've done some things since the book's been published too.
Well, that's fantastic.
I love that list. That's kind of it. It's what makes life fun.
I'm going to have to do that,
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to assign you to do that. Your assignment, Dustin, is
consider it done.
Don't start. I make my clients have at least 50. So you do 50.
That's exactly what I need. That's the kind of person I am. You tell me, you challenge me to do something, I'm going to do it.
I'm challenging you. 50 items. Break them down so that rather than say like go to Europe or go to the Holy Land, right? I want to see Jerusalem. I want to see. I've done this. Petra. I want to see the River Jordan. So break them down to little things. So that way you can check those off. If you don't, you want to go to Tuscany. I want to go to Rome. I want to see the Colosseum. Write those specific things you want to see and do.
Okay.
But I challenge you to write 50. And it's
so that's it.
Yeah. Write 50 items minimum.
Specific, right? So the key.
So you can, So you can say, yes, I did. No, I didn't. And you're not just like a vague thing, like I'm going to go to Europe. Well, what does that mean? You take a little day trip to Europe and then you're done. No. So I want to go to London. I want to go to Paris. Yeah. Check the box. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I want you to grow that list. That's the starting place. 50 is the starting place.
Mm-hmm. Well, my list is going to be big. I already know it's going to be big. I mean,
Send it to me. I'm going
to send it to you.
I'm really serious. I really want to see it.
That's good because it's coming. I was able through the military. I spent 8 years in the Army. I was deployed on a peacekeeping mission, and it was called the Multinational Force of Observers. And it was a peacekeeping mission between Egypt and Israel. So I got to go. I landed in Jerusalem actually Tel Aviv. I landed in Tel Aviv. We didn't get to stick around long. We had to hightail it out of there. It was a kind of a volatile time too when we got there, but we were able to do something called MWR. It's morale, welfare, and recreation, and where you get to actually travel off base and experience, the surrounding culture and things like that, as long as the security is, reasonable enough to do that. I was fortunate enough to get my scuba certification in the Red Sea.
Oh, no way. That's on my bucket list.
I got something.
List. Scuba diving in the Red Sea is on my list.
Trust me when I tell you this. There is nothing in the world that is going to top what you're going to see over there.
Oh,
Mind-boggling.
yeah, I gotta do that. That's nice.
It's incredibly beautiful. I've never seen like scapes, like the seascapes, like incredible, like swim throughs, lionfish that were massive. I mean, scary.
Wow. How big were the lionfish?
Let me go back here and see if I can.
Not to take that. No way.
I've never seen anything so big in my life. I mean, these things were massive. Now,
did you see any footprints on the bottom?
That's a good question. No, I didn't see any footprints, and I didn't see any wagon wheels. However, ironically, we were in the vicinity of where the crossing supposedly took place.
Were you? Oh,
so how cool would that have been? I did see white tip sharks. We got to swim with those white tip sharks. That was interesting. So cool stuff. I mean, it's definitely, but that was done through the military, and it is a cool thing to check off the bucket list, but it's not something that I can say I could necessarily did it on my own steam, if that makes any sense. Like, I did that through the military and it was a great experience, but financially I would never have been able to do that, and I want to get myself to a point where, I'm just so fed up worrying about where the next bill is coming from, or where our next house is going to be, or some landlord has control over our living situation. It's so frustrating. And these are the things that really drive my why. Why do I work so hard? Because, I really, I start at 12 in the morning, and I'm a truck driver, and I drive truck for a local farm here. And I drive for about 8 to 10, 11, 12 hours a day. When I get done with that, I have a construction business that I do on the side. I go right to it and I start remodeling, doing whatever. And I enjoy that. I enjoy creating. By the end of the day, I've worked 15, 16 hours. I'm exhausted. There's no thinking about dreams. There's thinking about my pillow, and a hot meal and a shower. So again, that's what I was talking about, where how do you break that cycle? I mean, I'm stuck in it, and I feel like it's just a weight that's holding me down, like suffocating.
I promise you, you're not stuck. It feels like it. I know that. I know it does, but I promise you, you're not stuck. It's just, you need to sign up for coaching with me probably, or read my book, but you're not stuck. But I know what you mean, and I understand it. And most of my clients that are drawn to me seem to be what entrepreneurially minded, I'd say, which you are. I mean, you have this podcast, you do the construction, you're a guy with big ideas, and you work hard to make them happen. The problem with guys like you and me, that's the reason they're attracted to me, I think, because I understand them. And I have mostly men, by the way, too, is that we have all these ideas, and sometimes we just need to figure out how to focus them. And like sometimes I have people like, you just have to put all your ideas in a notebook somewhere else. We're working on this, right? Because you've always got another idea. But you're not stuck. It's just probably need a little bit of talk through. Actually, what you're doing is awesome. You are the kind of guy, and I'm not saying this just because you have me on your show. I would say this to you if we were just talking on the street or whatever. But you are the kind of guy that can do really big and great things with just a little bit of direction. Seriously, I think, Dustin, you're going to do awesome things if you can work that hard. But don't neglect your family and all, in your health and all that to work that hard. You don't have to work that hard. I've got a guy I'm working with right now that is 28. He set a goal working with me. We've been working together about 4 months to have $1 million. He's got nothing right now. To have $1 million in 8 years when he's 36. He will. He's put some things in motion, and there's ways to do that. We should have at least a phone call. Everybody doesn't want to just talk about that much, but I've got ideas for you.
I really want to have a conversation with you. You definitely need to stick around after the show.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, because honestly, everything that you've just said is so spot on, and it's exactly what I'm feeling. Are you sure you're not psychic? You didn't come. This isn't a psychic.
No, I just know you guys. I've coached too many guys just like you. I know you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're good. You really are. And no, and I feel like, honestly, I mean, this is the first time that you and I have even had a conversation, and I feel like you already know me, like you just get me, and that's a really cool thing, because truly, that's the feeling that I've always had inside of myself, is I know that I'm meant for something more than this.
You are.
And it's not just, I mean, really, it's not the financial aspect of it. You know, really the only thing that I care about in terms of money is the freedom that provides me. You know, that's it. I don't, having things, stuff doesn't really appeal to me. Sure. I like having my nice pickup truck. That's, I'm a big guy. I like trucks. But really when it comes down to it, it's just a safe, secure place for my family. Time freedom. People ask me, what's the eagle? Why did you choose the eagle? Somebody said, well, that looks awfully Republican. Well, no, what that eagle and that flag represents to me in my show is freedom. That represents freedom. Okay. And here at Off the Cuff, that my dream is summed up in my logo. It's freedom, and that's really all I want and care for and care about, and then want that for my family and my friends too.
Well, you talk about money and about the freedom, but there's a whole bunch of reasons to have money. And you don't apologize for it. You go get a whole bunch of it, because guess what? You can give your kids more opportunities. Once you can take care of you can take them to travel. You can travel. You can find opportunities to grow. You can serve. There's so many reasons that are good reasons to have money. And, and to have enough to take care of yourself is great. But if you can take care of other people too, that's money gets a bad rap. And I really believe that God wants all of us to have to be rich. I think because we can do a lot more good in the world if we
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look at these mega super churches. I mean, they're doing God's work, right? I mean, that's what they're, I'm sure there's some shady people out there that have done it in the past and have gotten caught, but there are people out there with good intentions who have made it done very well. John Hagee has done very well for himself, and he is definitely a man of the cloth. And I love and respect and I listen to John Hagee. It's people that have to really, when this is what I get hung up on, stop putting your dreams on the back burner. Stop putting everything on the back burner and focus on yourself a little bit.
And when are you going to do? When are you going to do that, Dustin?
Thanks for calling me out, Sherry. I need to. I honestly, I mean, my friends will tell you I put myself last always.
Yeah, I know that. I know you are. When do you get a chance to spend time educating yourself, or reading, or working out, or spending time with your kids, or spending time with I assume you're married, with your wife?
I am.
With your friends. Life is more than just working 15 or 16 hours a day, and you can have it all. And let me go back to that. That's how I figured it out. I thought when I was poor and I was in a position similar to you, right? We were so broke that I took in children, and then we had 2 at the time. We eventually had 6. So we kept having kids while we're trying to figure this all out. And we're so poor, and Ken is working days and nights like you are. And we're like this, but I wanted everything. And I just knew that you could have it all. And by that, I meant I can raise kids and be educated and have a great body. And I can have unlimited, an income without ceiling. I didn't want to, I hate the idea of having to budget all my life. And so I wanted no ceiling on our income, that we could do what we wanted to do comfortably without worry of money. And I wanted a deep spiritual life. And I just said, I believe I can have it all. And I just kept thinking that to myself. It has to be possible. If anybody said I can do it. And it's the same for you. You can have it all. And you can't have it all working 15 hours a day, though.
No, I can't. I don't even, honestly, and I hate to tell you this, I've studied you a little bit here, especially this past week. And I've seen some of your fantastic pictures. You still look great in a bikini, by the way. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Understand, my health is not doing so good. I'm 42 years old. I'm 300 pounds and doesn't look like, but I've always been a big guy. I mean, you have to understand, I've always been a very stocky, big guy, very big frame. I mean, I've gotten down to 200 pounds and my wife's like, you look sick. Like you need to put weight on. So, I mean, you have to understand that's kind of my build, but, my liver is having issues. And I know a lot of it has to do with how sedentary I am for my job, Now, and that's why I've really tried to focus on getting back into the carpentry and do it, and I've been doing it for a long time. But I also have something called MCAD, it's called multi-chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase disorder. It's a mouthful. Basically, my body doesn't burn fatty acids the way a normal person's does. So I've struggled with my weight for my entire life. So it's, but I want to get to a place where, I have a fix. You want to know what my fix is? Having a gym in my house. That's one of my dreams.
Do you have that now? Do you have it now?
I do not.
I'm going to help you with that project too. When we talk afterwards, I'm going to point you in a direction for that.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
There's not very much I don't know about. I've helped. I had a business, it was a fitness business. It's kind of a boot camp nutritional program. Also had personal development in it. So I have literally helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people change their lifestyle and keep, most of them keep it. It's not easy. It's easy enough way to live. You can keep it. So I still get letters from people, or people say, you changed my life because I've got some answers. And that's the reason I started the business, is because this whole fitness thing there's so much garbage out there. So many people trying to make money off of people's misery, and it's not that complicated. And you might say, well, I still look good in a bikini. I do, but I didn't always. I had to figure it out too, right?
Sure.
I had those kids, and after the last one, I was tired of taking that weight off, and I didn't for a while. And, I've been there. It's not like I'm somebody who's always just been fit, and I'm going to tell you how to be fit too. I've been there. And so I do have some answers on that too. And, can I just make one plug on that? The
Please.
Answer is not to go hungry. The answer is to eat. And that's a fact. It's what you eat and when you eat it. And of course, I talk about that in the book, in Life Mastery, but it's what you eat when you eat. The actual truth is to eat a lot and never be hungry, not feel deprived. It's just eating the right things.
That's my kind of diet right there.
Yeah. Right. Like you can have a steak and a potato, go for it. Just don't eat the bread. It's like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you live like that because you live on steak and potatoes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Right.
You're singing my song here. Look, I grew up, my family's Italian. My mother's side of the family's Italian, and these are off the boat, Italians. So, they when their boat landed in America, it landed in a place called Berwick, and they got off in Berwick, and they created this massive Italian, circle of people up there. And really, when we went back home to Berwick, it was like, you have to eat. You look at you. I'm like, I could be 400 pounds. They're like, oh, you're withering away. You got to eat. It's always food. And one of the things that I got hung up on is I am an emotional eater, and it doesn't matter what my emotion is. I'm not one of those people that will starve myself when I'm angry or I'm sad or upset. I will eat when I'm sad or I'm happy or I don't need a reason. I just enjoy it. And
you and almost every human being alive. And I talk about that in the book too. Yeah, that's normal, really. What do we do when we celebrate? We eat. What do we do when we have funerals? We eat. Yep. This is not just us. This is every culture is like that. Emotional eating is normal. And in fact, it'd be less normal to not eat at least a little bit as the emotional thing. It's still going to, I can still get you around that. It's what you eat and when you eat it. So if you're eating frequently and you say, okay, I'm an emotion, I need to eat. Well, I can have a bowl of blueberries and whipped cream, or I can have a quart of ice cream, right? And so you just choose something that you love still, that doesn't feel like torturous, but that doesn't hurt you. It's what I call real fuel food rather than wrong fuel food. Wrong. Say that a couple times in a row. Wrong fuel food.
Wrong fuel food. Wrong fuel food.
Wrong fuel food.
Wrong fuel food. Wrong fuel. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I will botch it. I guarantee it. Yeah. Well, that's part of my problem. I have a sweet tooth. I
addicted
really
to sugar.
do enjoy tasty Claire pie.
Yeah. And you know what? That's the other thing is that you like about my system is, that's probably hardwired. Well, we're addicted to processed sugar. That's a fact. It's in everything. And food companies know that. I mean, the food companies do this on purpose because they know that we can be addicted to it. But we're also addicted to some degree to sweet. So if you can eat something that's sweet, but not processed. And I offer some ideas in the book because I have a whole section on that whole sugar thing too. I got everything's in there. Everything I know is in there. But so if you can find, very dark chocolate, work into, learn to like that and eat some of that, or eat some nuts and chocolate, or the blueberry thing, or some Greek yogurt with some honey and blueberries on it. If you can do that instead of the processed sugar,
sure,
it just turns it around, right? And this other thing you have that's a mouthful, I suspect that can be turned, even though people probably tell you that it can't. I suspect it can be turned around. I've seen so many things like that turned around that I can't even tell you. Fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, I've seen reversed. Type 2 diabetes, I've seen heart disease all the time. Of course, anything obesity related.
Right, and fatty liver. And
fatty liver,
non-alcoholic cirrhosis that you get for having a fatty liver for too long, which is exactly what I'm dealing with. Sherry, I'm going to get you to hang tight here with me for a few seconds. I got to run a quick commercial. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate y'all being here. Again, if you haven't done it already, please hit that like and share button. Get that out there to the internet verse, and I appreciate you doing that. Stick around. When we come back, guys, we're going to continue talking with Sherry. We're going to dig a little bit into where she learned these principles and how she ended up coming to her decisions on why these are the specific ones that she put into her book. And we'll just keep digging. We're going to talk about tracking goals, and we're going to go into a little bit of detail on the importance of that stuff when we come back. Sit tight.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Brie, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area, 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Try again, buddy. Try again. Yay! Okay. Oh yeah, good job. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now back to our program.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it. Please if you haven't done it already, hit that like and share button, guys. If you're watching on Facebook and if you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you never miss a video when we do go live. Also, you can find us on Spotify and iTunes. Download us at any time and listen to us on the go. And we appreciate all your support. If you want to head over to patreon.com and become a paid subscriber and a patron to Off the Cuff, it's patreon.com/Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey. We appreciate everything that you do to support the show. Thank you so much. All right, Sherry, thank you so much for hanging out and being patient. I appreciate that. So I want to get into some of the fundamentals of what, life mastery is and how can we apply, the fundamentals and the teachings, what's the best way to implement them in our daily lives?
So, we talked earlier about being stuck, being out of control, or when we feel like we don't have control of our life. Obviously, life mastery is the opposite of that. Life mastery is feeling like I'm not perfect in my finances, but I have a handle on it. I'm not perfect in my health and fitness. I still got some things I want to do, but I've got a system and I'm going there with my relationship. So that's feeling control of our lives instead of out of control. And there's a couple of, when I started and I'm looking for some answers and how to do it, I started reading lots of books. We went to seminars when we could afford it, it was a while before we could afford much. But we still spent money. We didn't have to go to those sometimes. Sure. Audio programs. I mean, I'm searching and I got a lot of good information, but what I could never get was tell me how. I'd be like, okay, tell me how to do this. I'm on board, but where do I start? And that I had to figure out myself because nobody told me how to start. And later I was aware of a few planning programs and stuff. They're so complicated. It didn't do anything for me. So my systems I offer are really simple. The first one is track them. Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed. I think is how we put it. It gets improved. What gets measured. So what I did when I was in my mid-20s is when I started this. When I started doing this kind of work, I thought, well, how can I get these habits that I want? I had 3 habits at that time I really wanted to get down. And so I had little children. I did like a children's chart. I did it on a little 3x5 card. And I wrote my things I wanted to do down here and the days of the month across the top. Mm-hmm. And I just checked them off every day. And that's what now I call a tracking sheet. It's a little more, not much more. It's slightly more refined than that. But I developed those habits doing that. And that's one of the first things I teach my clients. Once I know a little bit about what they want to accomplish, then I teach them. If I know if I can teach them systems, I've got 3 of them. If I can teach them these 3 systems, they can just plug their goals right into them. In fact, I do a little spiel once in a while when I'm asked to speak, if they'll let me on this topic. I talk about why systems are more important than goals. You can have a goal without a system. You might as well not even have a goal. But a lot of goals can be plugged right into the system. For example, I had a client recently who she had always wanted to write a journal for a whole year to each of her children. Like every day, write something to her kids in this journal. Mm-hmm. She wanted to do this for a long time. And so we've been working together for a while. And she just came in one day and she said, I wrote on my daily tracking sheet, write in my journals, and now I'm doing it. She didn't even write the goal down. She went right to the tracking sheet. Now it's on her tracking sheet. Every day she'll look at that and say, oh yeah, I haven't written in my journals yet. I got to write in my journals. And now it will just happen. So systems are critical. But the first one I teach is tracking. And then there's some things that we want to be, but are not trackable. Like on a tracking sheet, you have to say, did I or didn't I? What I determine, this is a workout. Did I do it or did I not do it? I determine in advance to work out, to get my check. I have to do whatever it is. Then I can think, I do it or not do it, like the big dreams list. But there's sometimes we want things that we want to be kind. I want to be a better listener. I want to laugh more. I want to drink more water maybe, or be more aware of just anything that I want to be that I can't measure. Then I can put them in a written daily affirmation. So I write it every day. I only write it as it is. I laugh easily. I smile at everyone. I speak well of people. I write lately. I borrowed from John Acuff. My life is dope. Like, sometimes I get so serious I forget to have fun. Right? My life is dope, and I've got a good life, by darn. And so those kind of things is another system. And then I have one other system called the satisfaction checklist, where just everything goes that you want to accomplish in 90 days. So those 3 systems, and if you work those systems, especially the first 2, you can make great things happen.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to be downloading your book. Like I said, I'm a driver, and I listen to my books in my truck when I'm driving. So I'm glad to hear that your book is on Audible, because
Not
that's
yet. It'll be probably it's all done being recorded. It's being edited right now, and
okay.
so I'm thinking with probably the middle of November. It should be available on Audible
Okay.
the middle of November, I think. Probably sooner, but I hate to promise.
That's how I'm going to be consuming your book. Because it's just, obviously, with the time constraints that I do have, I mean, that's the best time for me to consume content. And I do. I've listened to all the great books, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Are Your Right to Be Rich. And a lot of times people read these titles and they're like, it's all about money. It's all about money. People have the wrong perception. It's not. It's actually not what it's about at all. Being rich encompasses a very wide variety of different things. Being rich in love, and rich in happiness, and rich in peace. And yes, rich in finances. That's all part of it. It's all part of being happy, I think, and finding that true, like, inner peace that we're all really searching for. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm going to give a little moment of vulnerability. I get to some points in my day where I'm just like, why am I even bothering to do this? Dude, why in the hell am I getting out of bed today to drive this crappy truck, to deal with crappy people and crappy traffic? I mean, I drive through the DC area all the time, in a tractor trailer. It's a nightmare, and to be completely forthcoming with you, it's very depressing. Sometimes it's, and that takes away from me being a good parent, me being a good husband. Sometimes, it's just, and I feel like it's taking away from all that. I personally need what you're selling here.
Yeah, it's not really, but you're talking about these books and what they offer. It's not just finances. They're just another way of saying life mastery. What you're feeling is that you're losing too much and gaining too little for the amount of effort that you're putting out there. I'm curious. Well, we should talk about this later, but you're driving for somebody else, right?
I am. I drive
Why
for
are
a
you
local
not
farm.
driving for yourself?
Well, because tractor trailers cost $500,000.
I know that because I have a daughter and son-in-law who just started a trucking company. Guess where they got their money? Well, anyway, we didn't say that much, but that's, I don't know. Yeah, you have to, you're not working, you're not building anything, you're doing to survive. And it's depressing. You're not seeing the end of a realization of dream. You are just doing the grind to take care, which we had to do for a long time. I'd be lying to you if I just thought, we read the books and then we made $1 million. We did set a goal to be worth $1 million when Ken turned 40 and made that. But there was there was a lot of ugly years between. We were happy, but money-wise, it was really desperate for probably 7, 8, 9 years.
What a horrible feeling.
It isn't fun. And I tell this about the story in the book, but we did pretty well. But again, Ken's working 2 jobs. I'm doing daycare. I've got at this point like 4 of our 6 kids. They're little. I'm kids all day long. He's going from one job to the other. So I'm home with just these kids. We have no money. I think we probably only had 1 car at that point. And I'm at the end of my rope. Well, so I kind of have a little meltdown. Well, he's at the end of his rope too, right? He's working all these hours. And we just sat on the edge of the bed. And I seriously thought, what will become of us? When we love each other, we're not going anywhere, our marriage, our family. But what happens to people like us? Later, I found out they'd end up living under a bridge if they don't turn it around. But we didn't get that far. But, it can happen that way. It didn't happen for us. But, there's moments of despair when you live like that. It's not fun. It's not the intention of life.
And I can speak to that. Again, a little bit of vulnerability. And a lot of people know. I don't mean to complain to my listeners out there, but I consider you guys all family. So a lot of that our situation right now is a little precarious. We are tenants in this house that we rent. We rent a beautiful home. It's a single family house. We've only been here for a year. We've never missed a rent payment. we take extremely good care of the house, but for whatever reason, our landlords decided not to renew our lease and didn't really give us a whole lot of notice. And in today's market, in the housing market, the way it is now, it's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare to try to find a home, rental, or to purchase. But we are in the process of buying a home. But what this is, the last week and a half have been some of the most stressful days of my entire life. And because somebody else has control of my situation, and that really pisses me off. I'm just so over the top frustrated right now.
Right. You don't feel life mastery. You feel like that lack of control is that feeling you don't have mastery over your own finances, over your own work, the work that you do. And not that we ever have complete, we always have to be accountable to somebody, typically our clients or people we've promised and that kind of thing. But they don't typically have, we don't want a situation where they have control over where I live or the amount of money that I make or how I spend my money. And so, that's kind of a lack of life mastery, isn't it? And I know that's frustrating.
It is. Now, what about, okay, so we're talking a little bit about tracking and writing things down. Do you feel that the most important thing that we can do is to keep like just a daily log? I mean, and being committed to that writing. I mean, somebody like me that doesn't have a lot of time, like, I don't know if I have time to stop and sit down and just be like, Dustin, take a minute to smile at somebody and feel happy today.
Right. So let me go back and I live downtown, by the way. Can you hear we have a little loud thing that went by? That's okay. Nothing I can do about that.
That's okay.
Mostly it's quiet up here, but every once in a while somebody thinks that their car is so cool. They've got to blow the noise out. So it's not like, you write down those things, those kind of things, those written affirmations. You don't have to think about them again. It takes 1-2 minutes. Keeping a tracking sheet, you're going through at the end of the day or as you do it, it takes 30 seconds to mark those. Those two habits together, 2-3 minutes of your day. And once you have the track, now you're trying to develop other habits, but the tracking sheet is tracking those for you. So it doesn't have to be in your brain. So it frees up your brain. You don't say, what have I got still to do today? What have I got to still do today? Oh, I haven't done this. You've got it on your tracking sheet. So it frees up mental energy. You still have to do it, but frees up mental energy. So this isn't time consuming that way. Now, is developing good habits time consuming? Well, it takes time to work out every day. It takes time to spend a little time reading about becoming authority in your field, reading about what's being an expert there, to read about that or how you're educating yourself. It takes time to do motivational. It takes time to spend time with your kids. All those things do take time. But interestingly enough, I discovered this as a mother with 6 children and a ton of stuff to do. And as they were teenagers and, grade school teenagers, all that laundry and ball games and dance lessons and dance costumes and PTA and carpools. And I was deeply involved in a program for kids, and my husband had to be church calling. And so we were really like, so much stuff. But I found that I didn't get any more done if I skipped those things. There were certain things I did every day that for me, prayers is a lifeline. So I pray every day. I wanted to spend some time growing spiritually, some time growing my authority in my field. So educating myself. I think they say working out. So these are things that were important to me. Sometimes you think I'm too busy, I can't do those things. And I never got more done. And what else? I was disappointed with myself at the end of the day. I didn't feel like I had a good day. If I missed the laundry, I didn't feel so disappointed. If I missed my workout, right? So I learned that these things actually give you time, and they give you a sense of peace and control. But you have to prove it. It seems counterintuitive. You won't look at it and say, "Oh, I can see how that works." No, you have to experience it before you'll believe it.
That's the best advice I think I've heard ever. It comes down to the application. You can know something, but until you apply it, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it's like, there's that old line about faith precedes the miracle or whatever it is. Or I think it's St. Anselm that said, or one of those saints that said, I believe I have, basically saying you have to do it before you believe it, before you'll see it. life is kind of like that. You'll have to apply the principles before you'll know that they're true. But if you do it for 6 months, 3 months, you'll see pretty quickly. What happens to my clients is they start, and all of us do this, they start tracking for a while, they're getting these good habits down. Then they have sort of a bad week. They're like, why am I doing all this stuff? And then we talk about that. I missed a few days, they just, something comes up, whatever. They've missed a few days. And they're like, so then I ask them, well, how'd that feel? They think I'm going to be all over them no, I'm happy that they've had this experience, because I can say, how did that feel? How did it feel in the weeks you got it done? How did it feel in the weeks you didn't get it done? I didn't feel good. And then they can compare those two experiences, and then they're committed after that. Then they're committed forever. Well, they'll probably go through that again, but.
Sure. I mean, I've been there, especially in my weightlifting and physical fitness thing. I've care very much about my body, and I found that the older I get, the harder it is to maintain that physique, that muscular tone, that build, without taking testosterone supplements every day. But I find that I really hate myself if I miss a day. And then but the problem is when you miss one day, then you've got an excuse to miss another day. Oh, well, and I'm just going to use that to miss another day. And next thing you know, I haven't been to the gym in like 3 months. And it just creates this atmosphere of like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not life mastery, is it? That's when you're
not.
And you don't feel like you have mastery of that part. And I had my clients when I was at FitMania, clients would have an excuse like, their knee hurt or they had a cold or whatever it was they were going on, and I'd say, come anyway, just come anyway, because it keeps the habit. But interestingly enough, and they would do that. I mean, because I'm pretty persuasive, and people don't like to disappoint me. I found that I've got that feedback. So they would come, just take my advice, I guess, or they just didn't want me to have to answer to me. But they would come, but they would always end up working out. To my knowledge, nobody ever just came and sat on the sidelines like I suggested. The reasons that we don't work out or whatever it is are really just excuses. When they got there, they realized that, and I think that's going to be true of just about everything that comes along that gets in our way. I tell them, this is my line: unless you're dead, dying, have a high fever, or bleeding profusely, show up for your workout. And I meant it too.
I feel like you've just channeled my father, my dead father. He said those words almost verbatim.
Did he? No, I thought I made that up.
No, you don't miss work unless you're dead or dying. or in your deathbed, you don't miss work. Now his that was applied to work and work ethic, not necessarily, the gym. My dad was paralyzed from the waist down. He wasn't going to the gym. He had cancer. But that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that part.
Well, my dad is my hero. I mean, the things that he did for my family. Again, another time. He is my hero. He will forever be my hero. He was just he's a great, great man. I think a man that I strive to be and want to be. Even though he was physically incapable of doing certain things, he was still larger than life, and he sacrificed himself many, many, many times just so we could have a better life. And God, I miss my father. I love him to death, and he really was one of the biggest influences in my life. So before we call it a night. This hour went so fast. I had such a good time with you. I want to know, okay, in your own words, okay, what do you attribute most, to your success? Like, what is it? What do you feel the strongest and about in terms of where you've reached?
Well, that's depending on the approach you take. From as far as systems and things like that I've applied, it would be tracking. But I think if I boil it right down to the very beginnings, it was, I wanted, every day is so important, and I wanted the best life possible. And I figured if I could bring any bit of the divine influence into my life every day, if there was a God out there, which I believed there was, I knew there was, if he would help me at all, I was going to go for it. So praying every morning, I would say that's one thing that was a big contributor. And then having a good marriage, it was to do it together. Ken and I together, we supported each other and loved each other and believed in each other. And I think you can do it without that, but it's much harder. That's one of those aspects of life mastery, right? That relationship, if the relationship suffers, everything will suffer. It'll be very difficult to meet your goals. So, and he's my champion. I said, he's the one that said, write the book. And when he told me, then it was like, of course, I'll do it. And that's just one example of so many things. So I would say those things were huge.
Having a support system is so incredibly, I think that is key for anything. I mean, if you have somebody who loves and supports you, has your back 110%, they're going to push you to be the best version of yourself. That is everything.
It is.
And, and
conversely, the other is true too. If you don't have that, it's hard to be focused on work. It's hard to do any of the other things well, because so much of your emotion and mental energy is going into worrying about this relationship. But when that's right, Ken always says, pointing to me, when things are right between us, everything else will be okay. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Right. Sherry, thank you so much for coming.
It was a good interview.
I so appreciate you coming on the show today. I know that people absolutely loved it, and they're going to love it. Guys, listen to it on, share it out there. There's so many people need this message. Please, if you haven't done it already, share this video, share this feed, get it out there, because I know there's somebody out there. Please go to Amazon.com. All right. And here, look, this has been up all day. Go to Amazon.com. Sherry's book is Life Mastery, Personal Progression Toward an Infinite Potential. Go to Amazon.com and buy your copy. I'm waiting for it to come out on Audible. I'm so glad that it is. Also, you can check out Sherry's website at lifemasteryinfo.com. Go check that out, guys. Sherry, thank you again so much. Please, I would love to have you back on the show sometime. And maybe what we can do is come back on the show and show people how much you've actually helped me after we end the show.
We'll do a check-in. We'll talk after the show. Then we'll check in on the show, and then you can really be vulnerable and let people see how you do.
Absolutely. All right, Sherry, stick around for a few seconds and I'll be right with you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it very much. Please head over to patreon.com. If you like what we're doing here at Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey, please become a supporter of the show. Every dime, every dollar helps us, and we do sincerely appreciate you doing that. Everything, guys, we're doing it because we want to create a better life and a better situation for you. And that's my goal here at Off the Cuff. I want to try to create something and bring you guys something that can definitely make things better in your own personal life. So join us again next week, guys, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a BB3 TV gathering of hosts, and it's just going to be a gaggle. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have a suspicion it's going to be a good time. There may be alcohol involved on that side. I don't know, but it's going to be a good time. So tune in next week, guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. So thanks again so much for going Off the Cuff with Dustin Heisey, and we will see you next week. Take care.